Fanele, Blessing, and of course via our Zoom platform, we're joined by Thanasegrian Moodley. Thanasegrian, let me probably start off with you. You've also got a background, history in political activism. You're also artist for about 15 years and you decided to move into politics. So you want to drive a pro-Indian agenda. Are you not also afraid, though, that this might be seen as excluding other groups?
Well, good evening and thank you for having me, first of all. No, not at all. I mean, at the moment, PG Mavunla of the ABC is driving a pro-native agenda. And I think Dr. Makosi Koza on the radio the other day was clear that, firstly, as a community, we have to first harness our own potential, know what we have. We have our own language and our own culture. So first we have to harness that potential to become truly part of the Rainbow Nation. So that's very important for me in terms of driving a so-called Indian agenda. It must be clearly noted that driving a pro-Indian agenda, or as the ABC promotes a pro-native agenda, it doesn't mean if you pro your community that you're anti anybody else. I think that's what is a misconception. Being pro-Indian doesn't make me anti anybody else. It just means that our community, the South African Indian community, has its own needs and needs its own voice.
And Mr. Moodley, what is that agenda and how do you actually hope to champion the rights of the Indian community?
Well, firstly, let me start by saying this, but the pro-Indian agenda stems from this. I'm a firm believer in social cohesion. I'm born and bred in KZN. I think I have my finger on the pulse of what happens in KZN. And social cohesion, just maybe juxtaposing what I'm saying here or what people understand. Social cohesion is a major part of my campaign, of what I want to achieve, because social cohesion has to do with Indo-African relations in the province of KZN. And for as long as I'm alive and as long as our forefathers landed here over 160 years ago, there has been social cohesion between Indians and Africans in KZN. However, July 2021 taught us clearly that the forces that prevail want to divide and rule. And they came up with this racist Indian narrative to divide and conquer. So I was driven by that actually from July 2021 to conquer or debunk this myth that's been created by politicians, business people, or whoever that want to divide. Social cohesion exists in KZN. It has always existed, but people want to disrupt that social cohesion. And then the Indian agenda means the media in 2021, July 21, played this Indian racist narrative. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. I'm here to debunk that myth. I'm here to tell the media.
So how do you justify what happened?
It doesn't exist.
How do you justify what happened in Phoenix?
Well, what happened in Phoenix? You tell me.
We all know that a certain group were actually killed. There's a court case currently underway where it was said some Indian people had allegedly killed black people during the July unrest.
Well, those are exactly what you said, those allegations, and 30 people were arrested as scapegoats for so-called racism. July 2021, what is not spoken about actually is the instigators of the biggest riot in this country's history that cost us the economy billions of rands. But the same the media want to speak about so-called racist Indians, when in fact they forget about the instigators. And that's what I mean by this agenda. The instigators of the biggest riot in our history want to move the narrative towards racist Indians in Phoenix and forgetting about this big riot that happened in our country that almost destabilized the entire country. Why not move the narrative there?
Okay.
That's where we need to be.
Mr. Moodley, let me just park this interview right here. Let me just...
Dollar what you must, dollar what you crave, but don't dollar flop, don't dollar with the masala.